Hi, good. So, yeah, once again back to um, learning Tally ERP9, and today we are going to do very interesting stuffs. We are basically going to look at how to create masters in Tally ERP9. First of all, um, in Tally ERP9, when we say masters, we refer to stuffs like account, stock items, stock groups, um, account groups, voucher types, and so on and so forth, cost centers, and what have you. So today we are going to look at basically how to create them, how to edit them, and also how to delete or display them. So these are the main things we are going to do today. And I'll go straight away and open my Tally software, which is here. Good. So if you've not already installed Tally, you can watch the video on installing Tally in order to do that. And also, if you've not created your company, you can also watch the video on creating company and how to log in to get to this point. So you log in with our account, and it always brings us, once we log in, it brings us to the gateway of Tally. Now this is the default um, gateway. Maybe your gateway might have changed due to settings or something. Maybe some menu items have been added, some buttons have been added, but it doesn't really change anything. You can still follow with what we are going to do today. Now, first of all, I explained a bit about masters, and the menu is basically uh, categorized into masters, transactions, utility, and report. So today we are going to focus on this, maybe in several parts. If we can do that all in one tutorial, we'll do it in several parts. So masters, as I explained, is they are the main objects in the Tally accounting system, and we categorize them into two main parts, which are account masters and inventory masters. So with account masters, we are looking at things which has to do with the accounting structure. So like you want to create a ledger, you want to create an account, a ledger group, you want to create something like a cost center, and so on and so forth. So this is not an accounting class. So if you want to know more about some of these things, if you are not an accountant, then maybe you can get an accountant or friend to explain it to you, or you can just use Google to check the meaning of these things online. So we look at how to create. So when you go to, um, we have, anytime you highlight a menu item, a particular letter comes in red. So for example, this is A, this is I, this is N, this is T, O, N, B, P, S, R, C, D, Q. Or even without highlighting, you see that some of the letters, for example, A looks bold here, I looks bold, V looks bold, and so on and so forth. So these are like shortcuts to these menus. So for example, if you want to go to account info, you don't have to use your mouse to click. You can just click your keyboard A and it will just do that for you. So you go to account info, and by default we have what we call groups, ledgers, and voucher types. You might see more depending on your settings, and as we progress we'll be looking at some of these things as we move on. for now we are going to look at groups and ledgers for today in under account info. Now we go back with our escape, press an escape button to go back. We go to inventory info, we press I, and under inventory info we have stock groups, stock items, unit of measure, and also voucher types. Now account info has to do with ledgers and ledger groups, so this group refers to ledger groups, and inventory info has to do with stock. So your stock group, your stock item itself, the unit of measure, that's what units are used to measure your stock items, and so on and so forth. So we start with account groups. Now when you click on groups, there is a way to create, display, alter. So we have under single group. So if you want to create a single group, you want to display a single group, or you want to alter a single group, you use this three. Now you can create multiple groups at a time, display multiple groups at a time, or alter multiple groups at a time, and that can also be done here. So we'll be using single group. Now when you go to display here, so we hit on display first, you can search for already existing group by typing. Once you start typing, it filters the list, but the system already has a built-in groups for you, so all these are created by default in the system. So with account groups, we have bank accounts as an account group. So for example, bank account is a group, and under bank account you have several ledgers. Maybe you have an account in bank A, you have an account in bank B. So these are the actual ledgers, and they all fall under bank accounts. Then there are other groups like cash in hand, capital account, and all of them are groups here. So if you want to display, look at any of them, you can just hit on them. So let's look at the bank account. So this tells us that the name of the group is bank account, and it's under current assets. So bank accounts are under current assets, and these are some few setups which we don't need to touch them by default down there. So here you don't need to really worry about them now. So the same way you can just view capital account is a primary, is under primary. So primary here means that it's not under any other group. And then the nature of group is saying the capital account is a form of liability, as you can see here. And then so that is how to display. So we are going to create a group which we will call for example, we have here, so if you look at this, we have sundry debtors here, which is a group which we normally use to keep all our debtors, the company debtors, all the ledgers of debtors will fall here. But sometimes we don't want to put all our debtors together, we want to categorize the debtors further. So we can create one group which will call maybe Ghana debtors. Maybe you have debtors in Ghana, you have debtors in other countries, so we want to group them. So if we're a multinational company and we have debtors in Ghana, debtors in Nigeria, debtors in any other country, you can just type. So for example, this we call it Ghana debtors, and then we put it under sundry debtors. So Ghana debtors will come under a group with already existing group, which is sundry debtors, and we leave these ones as they are. Now anytime you go to the last fold and you hit on enter, it asks you to accept it. You can click Y for yes, or just hit enter and it will accept. N for no, or escape will also stop it from saving. So I just accept it by hitting enter, and it is created, it is gone. You can create more if you want, or you can go back. Now let's display the group we just created. So it was Ghana debtors, you can see, and that is exactly what we did. Now if you want to alter maybe you made a mistake in something, want to alter, go to alter and it's the same. You search for Ghana debtors, and now you can alter, make changes, put it under a different group if you want, or change the name if you want. Now I skip this fold, that's the alias fold. When you are in create mode, or I'll say creation mode or alteration mode, you can fix your alias. The alias is like another name for the group. So for example, Ghana debtors can also be called trade debtors in Ghana. So that's another name. So any of this name, so you can add more alias, any more alias to this. And normally when we are working in multi-language kind of environment, then we want to assign each language an alias. So for example, this can be in English, you can type another name for French, another name for German, Spanish, just like that. But now just keep one alias. So this alias, you see it in many places and it is the same thing. So we will save it. And as I said, when you look down here, so I was saying that sometimes you get some buttons down here and it's exactly like that. So quit will take you back, accept will accept your information, delete will delete this. So when you are in alteration mode, you can delete the whatever you created or whatever you have opened. By clicking here will delete the item from your system. So accept here is Control A, that is A with double line. So anytime you see a letter here with one line, it means that letter combined with Alt. If you see two lines, it means that letter combined with Control. So Control A will save it, or you can just click on it. Anyhow, gives you a lot of options. Good. So now let's see, we created it with an alias. We said trade debtors, so we can search with both the alias and its original name. So trade debtors in Ghana is also now here, and it's opening the same thing. Or we can use Ghana debtors, which will also open the same thing. So it's a form of giving it many ways of searching for the same item. That's the alias. So we've been able to create, we've been able to display and alter our group. Now let's look at how to use the multiple group function. So if we want to create, so let's say we start from display. We go to display. Now when you want to display multiple groups, you have to first of all select the group, so a group can have subgroups under it. So for example, if I select my sundry debtors group, it is supposed to give me all the groups under the sundry debtors, which is just one. That's the Ghana debtors I just created here. So here I can display all the groups under sundry debtors. The same way I can then go to create, select a particular group which is sundry debtors, and then create more groups under it. So I have already created Ghana debtors. I can say Nigeria debtors. I can create how do you call it? I can create another group, let's say Accra debtors, and so on and so forth. And with this, you can create a lot of groups at once, and then you go. Now one way of doing that is you can also, let's go to create again. Now here, because we selected sundry debtors from here, from the under group, anytime you enter any name, let's say Kumasi debtors, it automatically put it under sundry debtors here. So Kumasi debtors is under sundry debtors because we have selected sundry debtors here. Now let's go back and select all. So you can see that there is all items here. This means that your group you are going to create can be under any group. So now when you do that and you create one, it allows you to select which group you want to put it under from this side. But first, it's just automatically put sundry debtors there. So now Kumasi debtors should be under Ghana debtors. So I'm going to put it under Ghana debtors and then save it. So the same way you can alter all the groups under sundry debtors here. So all these are all the groups under sundry debtors and they are subgroups. So now Accra debtors is supposed to also be under Ghana debtors. Ghana debtors is under sundry debtors. Nigeria debtors under sundry debtors. Kumasi debtors under Ghana debtors. And you can create more if you want. So we go. Good. So that's it for creating account groups, and we would go back and look at so how to create ledgers. And when you go to ledger, you see that I have the same structure, single ledger. So when you went to groups, you have single group and multiple groups. The same way when you go to ledgers, you have single ledger and multiple ledgers, and it follows the same thing. The only thing is now these are ledgers and not groups. So when you go to create, the form looks a bit different from the group one. But with this menu here, it follows the same logic as I said. So you use this to create a single group. You use this to display the group, and then we use this to alter a group, a single group. So we can see that we already have two groups that the system, two ledgers that the system creates for you automatically. That's the cash ledger and then the profit and loss ledger. And you can add more. So for example, you want to add a bank account. So let's say Ghana Commercial Bank. That's the name of the account. So I'll give it GCB as the alias so that you can easily search when you type GCB. Now you can add more alias to it. I've explained what an alias is. And here we have under. So remember, ledgers are supposed to be under account groups. So under means that which group is this ledger under. So this is a bank account, so we put it under bank accounts, as I explained. And this one, because it's a bank account, there are few other settings that you have to do. So the system can help you do what we call reconciliation, bank reconciliation easily. So it asks you for effective date for reconciliation. So we want to start our reconciliation from 1st January. And then this says set or alter bank details. So you can add bank details when you put. So normally when it's a logical questions, yes or no, you just have to type Y for yes and N for no. So Y means yes, you want to set the bank details, and immediately you do that, it's going to open a form for you. This is a new form. It opens this form, and then you can select the bank. So this is supposed to load banks from online so that I use it to configure it. But this unfortunately couldn't get us any bank, so we don't have to go back. Can put it to no and move on. Now this is the mailing details, the mailing name of this ledger, the address, and the country, which is automatically filled with Ghana because we set it up as a Ghanaian company. Then here you have the opening balance for this ledger. So as at the time you are setting up this company, you might already have some balances in your account, and that's what you use to set up. So for example, if you have a balance as at 1st January 2006, what is the balance on your bank account? So normally you use your trial balance from the previous period to set up your system. So for example, I say that our bank balance is 2,000 Ghana cedis, and it is a debit balance. Yeah. So So you have a debit balance, it means we have some money at the bank. Yeah, good. So that creates our first ledger. We are going to create another ledger. This time it's going to be a debtors account. So Mr. AAAA is a debtor. I won't put any alias. So we put it under Accra debtors, the group we created. And this one, because it's also a data, so each ledger group and then the settings you will need to do. So here it tells you maintain bill by bill. So we put it to yes. Maintain bill by bill feature helps you to be able to track the bill details of your debtors, and that is very helpful when you want to have what we call the credit period and other functions which we look at. And then here it asks for default credit period. So how many days of credit period you want to give to this particular data? Maybe 30 days, 90 days, whatever settings you want to do. And then check for credit days during voucher entry, yes or no. You can put it here. And then this is the mailing name, the address, just like we saw. And then if you have the bank details of this data, you can put it there, otherwise you leave it at no. And also, once again, opening balance, if the data already owes something, you can put it there, but Mr. AA doesn't owe anything yet, so we create it. So the same way, you can create different ledger for different uses based on your requirement. But now you can see that we have here we have here so we can then display. So once these are the Mr. AA and Ghana Commercial Bank are the ledgers we just created, and when you go to display or alter, you can now see them there. And GCB is just an alias for Ghana Commercial Bank, so it will take us to Ghana Commercial Bank. We can display it, view the information, or we can alter. So we can alter Mr. AA, put it under different group if that group we want to we did earlier was wrong, make any changes and save it again. The same way, multiple ledgers here we can create. So for example, if you want to create a lot of debtors account, maybe you have about 1,000 debtors, so we want to create it at once, we can just go to create and then you select Accra debtors as the group, and you can create different debtors under Accra debtors. So Mr. BBBB is also a debtor and has an opening balance of 1,000. So this side is double wise. So in order not to do this, I will just give it a zero balance because we've not yet looked at this. So I can create Mr. CCC also under Accra debtors and so on and so forth and save it. So I have created all these ledgers. Now if you go to display, you see that Mr. BB and CC are also created as ledgers. So it follows the same thing like I explained in groups. You can then display all the ledgers under Accra debtors. We have them here. You can alter all the ledgers under Accra debtors just like we did. So that is for creation of ledgers. Now what are voucher types? Voucher types refer to the different transaction types that you can have in this system, and by default the system creates voucher types, default voucher types, and we can also add ours or even alter the default ones. So for example, we go to voucher types and we have create display alter. So this looks a bit different from the other one like this one you can only work on one at a time, so this all refers to single. So when you go to display, this gives you a list of the inbuilt voucher types. So we have contra voucher types, when which we use to pass transactions that involve bank and cash, or bank and bank, another bank, so bank transfers and other things. So anything which has to do with cash and bank, or bank and bank transactions, we use contra. We have credit note, debit note, delivery note. So these are all types of voucher types. And then when we want to do make purchases, we use purchases here. When we want to make sales, we use sales voucher also here. So these are all voucher types, and this will help us do our transactions when we get to making transactions. So for example, I want to create, though we have a sales voucher type, maybe I want a voucher type for making credit sales. I want a different voucher type for making cash sales, so that I can set it up differently to add VAT to. We can also have a VAT sales voucher type, which will be different from non-VAT sales. So depending on how you want to categorize your transactions, you can create voucher types for it. So let's go to create. So I'll create a voucher type which I'll call cash sales. And then so it tells you select type of voucher. So cash sales is supposed to be under sales, so it's a sales voucher type. Then now when you come here, it tells you it asks for method of numbering. So how do you want to number your voucher type? Do you want to key in automatically, manually, or you want to use automatic numbering? So we have two types of automatic numbering. First one is automatic, completely automatic, and this one is automatic with manual overriding. So it is automatic, but you can also do manual keying and it will accept it. We have manual, and this one is multi-user auto. So normally when you have a multi-user license where you've networked your PCs and two people can be working at the same time, then you would want to, two or more people, you would want to use multi-user auto. And none means you don't want to number your voucher. So for now I'm going to use automatic, and it asks for, it said use advanced configuration. So advanced configuration, if you put it to yes, it helps you to do advanced configuration of your numbering. So for example, you want to start the numbering from 1. You want it to have a weight of, let's say, 5. If you want to prefill with 0, yes or no. So I want it to always have a length of 5. And then this is some kind of numbering. So we want to change the numbering, start numbering every year from 1. And then you can do a prefix. So prefix and suffix. So I want my numbering to be like SN S000 something, and then ends with let's say because I want my cash sales to have different numbering formats, you can do all that from here. So to represent cash sales, I put CS at the end. Later we'll look at how that will affect our numbering as we move on. So just accept the default values from here, and then you save it and it's gone. Now when you go to display, you see our cash sales is at the top here, and this is what we just created. We can alter it from here and make changes to the settings that we just did. So that is how to create, how to alter. You can alter any of the existing ones also here. And so basically this is the main items and the account info. They can be more based on your setup, which we will be looking at maybe later in the video, subsequent videos. In our next video, we look at inventory info and how to set the masters under inventory info app. See you. Have a nice day. Bye.